welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. With me, as always, the paranormal pompadour himself, Chip Stetson. Welcome.
How are you doing, Greg?
I'm
What's
doing
going on?
great. I'm not sure that a pompadour, that's a hairstyle, but whatever. I think it was a person as well, but
Well,
maybe,
it's better than a mullet.
Yeah, maybe you have a pompadour underneath your hat. We
will never know.
Yes, exactly. But so the last time you were on, I gave you an assignment.
Gave me an assignment. You did. You wanted me to look up what I could find about the history of the urban legend of Bloody Mary, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah. And you let me know that you had some things. And this one always fascinated me because when we were younger and just young kids in general seem to be fascinated about trying this. And I don't think, like, in all our times together, we never did it. I think we talked about doing it many times. And most people I talk to talk about doing it, or they'll get through saying it twice and then they never do it the third time. They're scared to do it. And like, so I've exactly. Like, there's times when I will like wake up in the middle of the night and have to use the restroom, and I'll like look in the mirror, and then I'm like, I don't even want to look in the mirror, and I'm not saying anything, and I'll turn away. And it's like,
do you ever get creeped out looking in a mirror in a situation like that and think like you're going to turn and move and the reflection won't? Kind of like, what was that? Poltergeist 3?
Yes,
with the mirror. Oh. that ruined mirrors for me ever since I saw that movie back in the 80s.
It messes with your mirrors, mess with your head, because they're just
they really do. Yeah. And that's one of the things that makes this urban legend as exciting as it is, because it involves a mirror and you're staring at yourself. And when you do that, I mean, you can kind of creep yourself out. I mean, your mind starts playing tricks and things. But what I did find out was this is usually a ritual that's done by preteen girls. And you're supposed to go into a bathroom or any place with a mirror. Usually it's a bathroom. Turn off the lights and you're holding a candle, and you have to say the name 3 times, Bloody Mary. But there's also different versions that say you have to say, I believe in Bloody Mary, or I want to kill your baby, Bloody Mary, which is,
that's just dark.
Yeah, it's a cheerful thing.
Well, it's already a dark folklore urban legend, and then they just went even darker with it. Like, I want to kill your baby.
I mean, that's pretty specific,
Yeah, that's kind of mean.
Well, after you do that, there's a number of things they say can happen. One of the things is blood will start dripping from the mirror. Another one says that a figure will show up in the mirror looking back at you, will reach out and scratch you. Another one says that appears behind you and will haunt you for the rest of your life. So, these are reasons why you actually really want to try and do this, because the benefits are just incredible. Now the some of the theories behind how it came about. Excuse me. One of the theories is kind of Freudian. They said the reason why it's done by preteen girls is because, and the fact that it's called Bloody Mary is kind of symbolic of entering into adulthood, for a woman, not to
blossoming.
Yeah, and I don't want to say any more.
I think people can figure out what.
I'm really hoping they can figure that out. That was one of the theories. Now, there's other theories that it actually went back and it deals with specific individuals in history. Like one, Mary Tudor. She was Queen of England, and she was known for her just vengeful side, killing thousands and hundreds of thousands of peasants because she was not a nice lady. Yeah. Now, another one that they say could be was Mary Bathory. I was trying to remember her name. She was the one that was she was a hoity-toity type, but she would kill teenage girls, drain them of their blood, and she would bathe in them, thinking that would keep her young forever.
Yeah. Now, she is known as being the most prolific serial killer in all of history, because I think she killed over 600.
That would not surprise me, because
I've read about her. She was, because she was also, some people went on to say she was kind of like a vampire, like, because she would bathe in it and she would drink the blood. She was like all sorts of crazy.
I was going to say absolutely psychotic. I mean, well, just to want to do that, I mean, you got to have a screw loose. I don't know, just wackadoodle.
Wait, before you go on to the next one, like, I want to stick with this one just for one, because it's interesting that she would be associated with this, because one, like, she did all those things. She associated vastly with blood because she thought it kept her young and thought she was going to stay eternal. And the whole thing about vampires is they do not have a reflection in mirrors unless you invite them into your home. So it's an interesting twist on her in that she had this, a lot of people thought she was vampiric. So then by calling on her, you're kind of inviting her in your home. So then her reflection would appear in the mirror. I never would have put it like that.
I saw Lost Boys. I know about the inviting in.
Yes.
But I hadn't thought about the saying her name 3 times is inviting her in, and then you get to see her reflection. That's a valid point, and that makes a lot more sense than just, associating her with the name and some of the things that happened. But I like that.
Well, that just popped in my head while we were talking.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. And not necessarily vampires, but the last one that they tried to associate with this was called Mary Warth. She was a witch that was burned in Salem, Massachusetts during the witch trials. Mm-hmm. And since she's being a witch, or her being a witch, they thought that was more of an association with, supernatural showing up, that sort of thing. So those were the 3 names that I was able to find associated with this. But I like your theory about Bathory, because that I think makes more sense than even the Salem witch. Just inviting her into your home, having a reflection, and the fact that it's usually preteen girls and she's reaching out, scratching, there's blood on the mirror. I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And that's who she victimized, were children with females from ages 10 to 14. That's who
exactly
she had, she just decimated these kids and entire villages. I know way too much about this individual, I think. But
well, now I know you had me do some research. Did you find anything out differently from it?
I found something. Now, it wasn't necessarily Bloody Mary, but it was a very similar, like, in all of them, you have a candle, you look in the mirror, it's dark except for the candle. And so one of the ones, and it wasn't necessarily that you were saying Bloody Mary, but you were saying something 3 times. And again, it was preteen girls, teenage girls would do this. And it was supposed to show you who your future husband was going to be.
Oh, and that could be scary.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. And so that was a one thing, and it kind of then morphed into calling on Bloody Mary for this. And I'm not sure why it morphed to that. But the interesting thing I'd say is, when you do look in a mirror in the dark, especially if you have a candle, the flickering light, it plays tricks on your eyes. So if you're staring intently at your reflection and saying this, the flickering can morph your features and make you be like, whoa, what the heck did I just see? But as we said, is this something you really want to be inviting into your home anyway?
Right.
I mean, the all 3 outcomes, none of them were good except for the possibility of seeing your future husband. But I
said, that could be good, that could be bad.
Yeah. It's oh my gosh.
Anytime you're inviting something into your house like that, it's never a good thing. I mean, it's the same thing with Ouija boards. Once you invite them in, it's hard to close it off. It's hard to get rid of them, and you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, and I found it interesting. It's not necessarily Bloody Mary, but the idea of Bloody Mary kind of morphed. Films have used it. The Candyman series was very similar, where you said it 5 times, Candyman. And again, it's another why would you do that? And
Beetlejuice,
exactly. Another one where, you had to specifically say his name 3 times to get him to come and then to make him leave. And, which was also like interesting, like, that they, obviously that's where they got the idea, was probably from this Bloody Mary thing. But another interesting thing that I found was that, the thing of the 3, like oftentimes they say, like, when you're dealing with demonic forces or whatever, you'll get scratched and you'll have 3 scratches,
which is supposed to be insult to the Trinity.
Yes, exactly. And
Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and Christian religion.
Yeah, and so that, like, I think that's another. It's kind of a slap in the face by saying Bloody Mary 3 times. You're trying to get, like, again, you're dealing with forces, whether or not anything does happen. Because one, I've never done it, and I never will. It's one of those. I find it fascinating, but not fascinating enough to go and try it. Like,
no, I'm the same way. I mean, we're grown adults.
Yes,
we shouldn't be scared of something like this, but at the same time,
it freaks me out. Like,
yeah, it really does. I mean, this sort of thing. I don't think there's any explanation for it, and I absolutely believe that there are supernatural things out there. I don't want to find out that this is one of them. That's real.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and I mean, I know you're single, so having a woman in your bathroom, might be enticing, but don't invite her.
No, I just really couldn't.
But if it is,
she might have. I could say she's probably more attractive to me as far as her personality, just knowing all the history behind it, than some of my ex-girlfriends.
True. And she might not be as violent as some of your ex-girlfriends.
That's true too. You know that firsthand.
I've witnessed. Saw it. I didn't even have to say that lady's name 3 times to witness.
No, don't.
Yeah, no. I'm afraid if I do, she's going to come through that door behind you
and start throwing stuff at me again.
Yes. That's a story for another podcast. So.
Maybe not.
So what other urban legends are you going to look into next for us? Have you thought about it?
It's not necessarily an urban legend, but my father and I recently took a trip down to Kentucky. We're doing a bourbon trail visit. We hit Barton's 1792, went to Maker's Mark. We also hit Buffalo Trace. But while we were in Bardstown, before we went to see Barton's 1792, we stayed the night at a haunted inn called the Talbot's Tavern.
Oh, nice.
And it was interesting. While I was there was actually a film crew for a paranormal show that was filming that night. So I got to talk with them and got some stories, not only from them, but from the cook that morning. So next podcast, we'll talk about that, because it was really an exciting time. And the place is, I mean, it was built in, God, I'm not sure when it was built. It's one of the oldest continually running taverns and inns in Kentucky, and it's just got a lot of history behind it. Jesse James was there. General Patton stayed there. I mean, there's just a lot of history behind it. No, I'd be looking forward to talking about that on the next podcast.
Great. Well, we will definitely have to do that. And I want to thank you for coming on, as always, because it's always fun having you on.
I appreciate you inviting me.
And for those of you listening, thank you for listening or viewing, however way you come across us. And remember to, as always, stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files. Check out fedoracrt.com today.